Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series America. I'm Nathanius, joined by In Control, as we make our way to the second half of today's show. The European games were a little, here and there.
Can only get better from here, Nate.
Can it?
Well,
Can
no.
it only get better?
No, it cannot.
No, the NA games were pretty bloody yesterday. But we are getting into the second half of our WCS broadcast. The tournament format, of course, for challengers stays the same. We just had breakfast, so the players are competing for a spot in Challenger. We had open qualifiers; anybody could play in. 60 competitors make it into the group stage. We have our 4 groups. Half of them make it to the final bracket, and the winner is crowned the regional champion. There's also seeding for the top players in WCS Valencia, which is coming up in less than a month. That will be awesome and important to check out. Also, a lot of money on the line for these players competing here in Control.
Show the graphic.
Give me that graphic. $1,600 Renos for first place. But those WCS points that are so important because Cyril is going to remove all of the circuit winning positions.
WCS points are a little bit like a cryptocurrency if you think about it. It's digital stuff that we award to people that you can transfer over for real money.
I'll let you have that one, In Control.
Yeah.
We are getting into Group B here in America. And don't worry. I know some of you guys are like, where's the Terran? Well, we've got the meat, okay, today, guys. We've got it. We've got a nice and interesting group, I think. As we look at the schedule, we're going to have True go against Future. That one's going to be odd, I think. And then we've got Puck versus Cicada. Cicada, a very popular NA ladder troll, much like a real cicada, chirps extremely loudly.
Yeah.
It can be dangerous to the ears if exposed for too long.
And they sleep for a long period of time, which in this case, I guess, refers to this being one of his first appearances in anything meaningful.
Yeah.
But True versus Future will be interesting. Future is one of those up-and-coming North American players. They don't hear as much about as the European ones just because it's harder for them to pan out, I would say.
Yes.
It's a longer leap for them. But he's been talked about for some time, and he'll be going up against True. And I'm going to do this. There's somebody out there that doesn't want me to say this, but the kind of interesting controversy around True is that at this last WCS Austin, his own team owner actually tweeted out frustration at his performance, saying that he expects more from this Korean player over in this scene to do more damage. So if that talking had some kind of serious impact, I expect True to tear this up.
Do you think True slept before his matches today?
I certainly hope so.
It's a tough question to answer sometimes. We're going to take a look at the format for today's matches, of course. Nothing out of the ordinary. We've got group play. 2 players are going to make it out of each group, best of 3s. So we're going to go match 1, match 2, loser match, winner match, final match. Boom, boom, bang.
This has the spirit of Apollo for me. Remember that? When he used to have to, at the beginning of every WCS, he'd be like, right, we got one player that wins, one that loses.
Someone has to win. Someone
lose
has
a couple
to lose.
of times, you're out.
Since it's 2018, we're not really allowed to call anybody losers, but that's
defeated.
That's what. Yes, they are. They are sent to try again later.
We should call them subhumans, I think. When they're like eliminated, it's like, well.
So that takes us to our first match. We can talk a little bit about True and Future going up against each other. We are going to kick it off on Catalyst, so we could get no less exciting. For your computer has disconnected.
My computer's disconnected, but that's fine.
I'm still
it's
in
reconnected.
The lobby. I mean, In Control. Let's face it. You don't want to observe anyway. It's okay.
Yeah, well, I got you to do it. Why would I?
Yeah, that's
fine.
Well, you guys will have Roddy to do it tomorrow. For tomorrow, not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. So
you're gonna step out, Nate.
I'm gonna step out.
But then you'll be back for the finals.
Then I'll be back for the finals. Yeah.
Just recharge your Nate batteries.
Recharge them. Spend my weekend. I don't know. Watch some movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play some StarCraft.
Play some StarCraft.
Do Nate things.
I've actually been kind of doing decent on the ladder recently.
Yeah, you are. You said you were 130.
After my break, I actually came back better than before, which was weird. But,
you know, it sounds weird, but it's actually not. StarCraft is so... Sometimes if you get too up in your head, like you're laddering too much, you can start to kind of weigh down your builds with like, oh, I'm worried about this thing and that. And
yeah. It was actually Roddy that gave me the pointers. He's like, well, if you do more than 1 opening in each matchup, you won't be as predictable. And then I got in a barcode, and I still did the same 1 opening in every matchup.
Got him.
Solved the problem.
Roddy doesn't know everything, so I think what we can take from that.
Yeah.
This game is about...
We're literally loading into the game right now. We are not stalling, I promise. The loading bar In Control, it's at 55%, and it's getting really intense here. Future's loading bar is a little bit before that 50% area. True's is maybe at the 52% region.
I don't even have a bar, man.
In Control doesn't even have a bar.
You know who doesn't have a bar anymore either?
Who?
Stefano.
No, he does
It's
not.
a sponsorship joke. Well, we tried to load up the game.
High level there. Yeah, it's trying to load. Sometimes.
Cut back to the casters.
Yeah.
Quickly.
You guys get to look at us. I wouldn't mind showing you the loading screen, though, to be fair. If you really wanted to see it. It's a loading screen, you know. I don't know. Some people watch StarCraft more than they play it. They don't see the loading screen that often.
Camera called me bluff. I was going to flash them a look every time, but now they're like, we'll hold it on.
They're on top, yeah.
They know that you can't keep doing that job.
Those guys are also just as bored as us waiting for this game to either start or crash. Someone must have crashed or lagged out. So we'll get into it as soon as we can. But, well, I guess we could talk a little bit about the game. We know that True is probably going to mass speedlings, maybe be a bit cheesy. That's what he does, is he just tries to swarm everybody. He'll build go up to 40 or 50 lings with his third base, maybe
likes
half
his walking
saturated.
queens.
What's it? What?
He likes his walking queens.
Yes, he does.
Walk them all over the place.
Yeah.
But my big question for you, again, this is coming from Tasteless. It's kind of one of the things that he asks all the time. Is like, how long do you think this series could go? And specifically,
it could go long.
It could.
But it also could go short, you know? That's the thing. It really depends.
Yeah, but where do you see it landing? Like, how long and short do you think it'll be?
I don't really know. We have to restart the game. We loaded into it, but all of our observers dropped.
Nate, that's why you're not Tasteless.
Yeah. I'm not Tasteless.
Nick would not know either, but he would at least pose the question.
Yeah.
He would want you
that was your job. You posed the question. Yeah.
That's true.
So
Who watches The Watchmen, though, right? Am I right?
That's very correct.
Okay.
My role in this being Artosis is I say, well, it could go long or it could go short.
Yeah. Dan's one of the most supportive co-commentators I've ever seen in my life. We're remaking the lobby, guys. A quick little crash. It happens. But on a serious note, Future's fun because we're not quite sure what to make of him. His style is not yet absolutely established. I think Ravi would tell you he knows exactly how he's going to play, but we've learned that Ravi's okay.
Ravi loves
He's got
these
some
guys,
secret contacts. What's the code name for that guy again?
What?
His secret contact?
His secret contact? I think it's the emissary.
The Watergate guy.
Yeah. You know, I can't.
You don't remember his name?
It was something had to do with an itch, right?
Deep
trombone, was it?
Deep Awakening? Was it that?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think so.
Oh, I got a game invite.
Yeah, look at that. Welcome back. Welcome back to the...
What do you guys think that guy's name is? I can't remember the name of the guy that broke the Watergate controversy. I can't remember. Anyways.
He's the same name as that Cyborg Ninja right before he revealed himself, I think.
Yeah, his name was Deep Fox, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Deep Thoughts, maybe even? Like more of a philosophical name?
Gray Deep, maybe?
Gray Deep. Deep Gray. Yeah, I can't remember. We are going to start off on Catalyst. Nice map for this TVZ. Did we see it? No, this is actually our first Terran we've seen today.
This is your only Terran today.
He's a young guy, right? He's like 17 years old.
Yeah, I think the story for him was, I think it was Epic that just got old enough to play in WCS, so he was in Austin, and I think
we just got told he's
Future
16.
was a little bit younger than him, so his first tournament will be, I guess if he qualifies for Valencia, it would be Valencia, or at least big WCS tournament.
Who are these young guys now? It would be Clem,
Future, Epic. Rainer soon. Rainer will be, I think, making his WCS debut.
The youngest. He's not even old enough
Valencia. Yeah.
Awesome. Young people coming up.
Yeah. I do think that if you're playing versus somebody like True, who is building a reputation for not taking things really seriously enough, I think that there's a big opportunity for Future to get an upset here just by playing straight up and not falling trapped to what True actually really ends up doing almost every game, which is just,
you know what? Yeah.
Swarming you and just catching people off guard on the map.
I want to do some interesting math, but I want you to introduce these players first. And I got some numbers I crunched for you.
All right. We'll get into the number crunch in a second. In the bottom right, we have the blue Zerg player. He is True. $169,000 earned.
Pretty amazing.
His opponent in the Northwest, the Young Buck, the Red Terra player. He is Future.
Joseph Stanish. Nice. So Nate, if you look at the numbers here, so Rainer is about to be 16 years old.
Yes.
I am 32 years old. And I want to start off by saying I am not his father, but in certain European cultures, or perhaps if he was like 2 years older,
Yeah.
I could have been his father.
Well,
right?
we live in we were both from the northern half of the United States, which makes that less likely. But
You know what I'm saying? Like, how weird is that? I could be commentating this, and that could literally be my son taking the stage. Isn't that weird?
That is weird. I mean, if you think about
maybe
it,
I'm like a really, and yeah, you know, we're talking a little bit of an adult subject here, so I need everyone to kind of, you know, parents have kids.
Yeah.
Let's not freak out about it. But what if young Jeff at 16, let's say, found love and paired up with someone and had a kid? And that kid could be competing in WCS right now.
While you're casting.
Isn't that weird?
That's a thought. You know, that's how I felt when I started casting and I got to do my first match with Artosis. I'm like, well, it's like I'm casting with my dad. It was great.
Or at least your grandfather or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's kind of all of our grandfathers, though. It's weird when he walks to the desk and you can hear his bones grinding together.
Yeah. They actually hold him up. You guys don't get to see it. Nathan stands. Yeah. Nathanius has to stand on a box, but Artosis actually has like a contraption built around him to hold him up.
An exosuit, yeah.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Powered armor of sorts.
Yeah. It's like.
People wonder why we wear suits all the time. It's actually because underneath that is mostly robotic machinery that kind of keeps him alive.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what else is going to not keep someone alive in this game is one of these two players are going to go into the subhuman bracket.
Perfect segue. Perfect.
Yeah, was it? Perfect
bracket.
The Overlord does sneak a peek, though, at pretty standard stuff, to be honest with you. That's the kind of funny part about this. Like, you don't, wow, it's a star. You don't ever see, like, 3 barracks behind that, right? Like, nobody does that anymore. So scouting it at that time is kind of silly. It's a little bit improv for me, right? Like, you're not, what are you going to see? So I guess you could see a 3rd CC.
I think there's at least one interesting thing to point out here.
Okay.
And it's that Future, his build, he skipped a Reaper. Right, so this is actually more in the vein of like a Reactor Hellion type expand that we don't see really that often anymore. And this is like an okay Reaper map. But what he does is he uses the SCV Scout because he's like, all right, well, I just want to know that you're not cheesing me. But also delay the 3rd a little bit if he was to rush it. And unfortunately for him, right as he leaves to check the other 3rd, that's when the drone goes to where his SCV was.
Yep.
But the one Marine that you have doesn't give you a whole lot of defense. But I like the Hellion opening. I would say that there is no reason why anybody who gets matched versus True should not open with Hellions. Because he is known for just spamming Lings non-stop. And he's going for an armory, which leads me to believe he's going to try to drop the 4 Hellions into the main base of True, turn them into Hellbats, and this game will be decided by whether or not True gets a Baneling Nest and how many Lings he puts up. But the 2 Marines are going to deny the Scout, too. Yeah, so with no Overlord speed, he won't see the armory. I think you can assume there's a starport, but you don't know if there's a Banshee or a Liberator.
The erratic observing, by the way, is Nate, if you're wondering what's happening here.
Yes. I'm an amazing observer, okay?
Would you call yourself amazing?
Yes. Well, I would call myself amazing. I don't know if I'd say I'm an amazing observer, okay? Maybe
Fair enough. You would just say that you are.
Yeah.
So you were almost right about what's happening.
Okay, so he's not going to drop.
3 Marine and then also Hellbat attack.
And True actually has nothing. He doesn't have anything. He has 6 Zerglings and 4 Queens. So 8 Lings are on the way, but this is a nice little attack by Future.
Oh my God, they're crammed in there.
You know he's not going to build roaches.
Why is there more drones coming?
Yeah. Well, this is just this is amazing.
Okay. He is targeting the medevac, which is a good thing to target, I suppose, but it left all the Hellbats free to do this.
Yep, and now he's at the ramp. He's got
only
1
4
Queen
drones
down.
so far. 5, 8?
No, we're up to the.
Oh my God!
Yeah, we're up to 16. Only 4 drones.
It's only 4.
Only though. Yeah, he's just dead.
Yeah, he's dead. Well, actually, he's only down 2 workers despite all that. It's kind of funny. Yeah. But I think it's not done yet, right?
Well, there was like a little Link counterattack. I guess he got a few SCVs, but there's still 4 Hellbats in his base. He doesn't
Literally a few SCVs picked off. As he gets his surround on that Queen, he's going to light her up. She's going to barely get away. Chases it down.
Does not get away, by the way.
Does not get away.
TLDR for that story.
More Hellions run over. They're not in Hellbat form.
That one is.
That one is, though. And this guy, he's like, you know what? I'm actually going to go over to the drones. Nope, never mind.
No, I
I'll go
will
back
not.
to the Queen.
Everyone gets fire.
Just can't make up my mind. I just love lighting everything up. True.
Oh, he's got a Cloak Banshee behind this, too, so if True somehow gets
He
through
killed
this.
so many Queens as well. Very, Rough spot, no spores. The Hellbats light up these Lings. Not any difficulty. That Queen is now even lower, too. The Banshee is... Does he not have one already?
I love the fire animation. It's very, like,
Yeah.
belligerent.
His one Banshee's at home. Oh, it killed one of the drone, or one of the Lings. So I guess he doesn't want to move it across the map because he...
It was spotted.
Yeah.
I mean, he's up 20 supply, guys. He's up 12 workers.
Now this is the question where this is like the big moment. It's like, how much of damage can you do to True? And
It's gonna be back then, right? The Cyclones there? Or?
I think so. The armory opening, following it up with the
yeah.
attack upgrade is really good. Like, True can't... The big thing here is that despite the fact that you'd be like, oh yeah, well, you know, True has drones, but True Future's way ahead economically because he has A, mules, B, more workers. But the big kicker is the Queen loss means less injects, but also there's no tech. True actually hasn't done anything since the start of this game other than start 1-1. There's no lair, there's no Baneling Nest, there's no Roach Warren. So all he can do is try not to lose drones to the Banshees, and that's it. And without a lair, I mean, he could also just move around with the Banshees. And there's this attack
showing up too.
And that's about to have +1.
And the Cyclones add a different dimension into it as well, right? Like the Lings are already ineffective, but now the Cyclones counter the Queens, which is okay anyways.
And this forces the Queens to go away from where the Spore Crawlers are, because if the Queens want to be here and fight,
this has got to be it.
Future should just kill him right now.
True got hellbatted.
Yep. This Queen tries to move across. The Banshees are there. Smack him down. More drones are dying. Transfuse coming out, but the Cyclones are still standing strong. The Banshees are still perched overhead.
With all the Queens down, he can actually just kill the engineering base if this doesn't just end the game anyways.
Yeah. Oh.
Well,
he could also fly into the Spore Crawler. Nope, GG.
That's it.
Future takes game number 1 against True. Start of that game was just interesting. I mean, you don't get the scout off. You see your opponent opens with Marines, and I think it's very important in a situation like that to try and get Overlord speed. If your opponent, because that's like, Zerg players do that because most Terran players will go Reaper into maybe one Marine, which your Overlord can still get across the base. And he instead goes for 1 Marine, Reactor, 2nd Marine. And it's like, by the time the Overlord tries to go in, the 2 Marines like, no, you don't actually get to see anything. Yeah. So in that case, if you don't get Overlord speed, you're just being extremely greedy because you have no idea what's coming. You're like, oh, is it Banshee? I'll just build Queens. But it's like, no, it's actually this straight up attack of Hellbats. And it's a smart build by Future because True does not build roaches. It's not a thing. So he's done it occasionally, probably I would assume is like a metagame tactic. But True's general strategy relies on trying to saturate those 3 bases, building infinite Zerglings, then playing the game normally past that point.
It's tough, though, to be fair. I mean, it's also, that would be really early roaches to do that and to not get Overlord speed. Yes, I understand that, you know, that is greedy, but at the same time,
who did this?
It's hard because any other opening from the Terran at that stage does get naturally kind of absorbed by what the Zerg is doing. So this is also a little bit of just luck of the draw, I think.
It's a very strong build. I'm trying to think. I think the last time I saw this was, I think Gumiho did it.
It was a Thursday.
Gumiho did it versus a pretty good Zerg within the last 2 weeks. I want to say that it was in GSL, but
Dark is terrible, according to Artosis, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You know that one guy in the YouTube comments?
He did say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I cried a little bit when Dan said that, too.
Yeah. I actually bawled my eyes out. I have a shrine to Dark. It's
really. People aren't going to get that. Dan's a good guy. You're a good people. And we have some good StarCraft potentially happening in the second game. Because you know, that's interesting. For our Terran viewers,
right?
It was a bot, but you got to see a cool build. That'll
get you
some ladder points.
That is a strong build. I think it's funny for me because I like to open Marines versus Zerg. And everybody, it's like as soon as they see that you get more than 1 Marine, they're like, okay, they always get Overlord speed because otherwise they don't know what you're doing.
What are you hiding in there?
Yeah. So, and I'm like, yeah, if you don't want to get Overlord speed, yes, I will let my Fusion Core finish and you will be in trouble. And in this game, of course, it was the Armory. And you need to see that. So, yeah. A couple of Spine Crawlers could have helped if you didn't have anything, if you had just seen it and still didn't want to get roaches.
That would have been huge.
Yeah. But we're going to load into map 2. It's going to be Lost and Found. And we have a nice 1-0 lead for our American Terran against his Korean opponent. Spawning in the northeast position in the blue. His name is True. spawning in the red, doing a build that's very mature. He is Future. You see what I did there, Jen?
I like it.
Yeah.
Nice first game build, but can he follow it up? You got to go all the way through the best of 3 to get yourself into that winner match.
Well, it's a great bop to be able to get, right? Because if True decides to go monster mode, then Future will have this game where maybe it gets drawn out, maybe he loses, but he'll have a little bit more time. It's not like that, oh, the better player knocked me down a peg, and now I'm like, this is it, just waiting for the curb stomp to finish me off. So, yeah, but I like True's thought process. I like Future's thought process, though. I don't think there is anything wrong with playing, especially heavy Hellion openings, but also mech, versus a player like True, simply because he is so good with Zerglings that playing Bio, like, you know that if you 2-on-1 him, he's so good at having that ling count to surround you, to just swallow up your army, and unless you're on a map like Acid Plant where you can do the weird tank push and you have a lot of cover from the map, but you won't really see that here.
Do you know you can't spell True without Future, and all you have to do is give it a little bit of an FU?
Nice. That's a great... It's a great little thing there. Future really likes to use the waypoint rally for patrol to make stars as well. So Future, because he's a rising star,
Not
because
satisfied
he's
with how fast he
on
went past
Clan
that point.
Rise.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
His whole name fits inside of True, man. Or Future, rather.
Yeah.
His name
You are
fits
literally
inside
correct.
his name, except you have to give it an FU.
Yeah. And I'm sure,
like
I'm
so many
sure
levels
some
deep.
14-year-olds in the Twitch chat got that one.
That's
yeah.
who it's for.
There you go.
The fans, man.
Yeah.
Future's got fans, right?
I think
Other than Robbie, I think.
there's someone who tuned in this morning and was like, damn it, there's no Terrans. Oh, Future, all right, I guess I'll cheer for this guy. So he's got some fans. There's people here that want to see Terran games.
Did he skip Reaper again?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a tech lab, by the way. Is it just tanks? That's a fast tech lab.
He might build the starport on it. That's a thing still. Yeah.
Interesting. So like really fast Banshee?
Yeah. There's a few. Nah, I'm not gonna go into the realm of craziness. It just seems like he's going for sharp builds. He wants to do very sharp attacks. So he's just going. He's not gonna have any early map control, but I guess he's hoping that True's a little bit on the back foot, or will try to scout more diligently.
Yeah, it feels like that's a crazy thing to give up, though. But I agree with you, right? Like it's in the name of that attack, but I feel like if it gets scouted or something.
Very late reactor Hellions.
It's Overlord. That spot too.
Yeah.
Well, it's either there or to the left, I guess, is where they always go.
The left spot's much more safe. You can see the upper part of this.
Oh, you can't hide there?
Yeah, from the cliff here. It has to be back here, so it can't see the end of the wall as easily. But he's just going to move it all the way back. Doesn't want to risk it. The one Hellion pokes.
But he saw the starport, right?
I believe so. Yes. And he saw the,
and the tech lab.
spinning tech lab. But there's a Roach Warren, too. So, True.
Nidus.
Yeah, you can do Nidus off of this with the lair that he's got coming in as well. I think another thing that you get concerned about is if it's like a Banshee Hellbat push, which is also very strong and just a different variation of the build that we saw in the last game.
I almost guarantee it's going to be Nidus.
Okay.
I can see it in True's eyes. They're just deep black like
They're
a shark.
playing on the internet. Like,
Yeah, I can
True
feel it,
True lives on the East Coast, doesn't he? Isn't he like several thousand miles away?
though. Yeah, I think Systrom has like a...
You know what? You crunched the numbers, so I'm just going to give it to you, Jeff.
I did crunch it.
Take the wrapping off. It's done. Look at it. There you go.
And now...
Boom.
But, oh no, there's the Spore Crawler too. And he's only, yeah. It's got to be Nidus.
Doing this with Cyclones, I really like. Because if you get Cyclones, and I mean, a Scout here would be huge if the Banshee could see it. But I think you see that this lair is done, and you ask yourself, well, what could he be doing with it? Does he see that there's roaches? Does he see the Roach Warren? That's a really important thing to see as well, because if you know that your opponent has roaches in a lair, you just keep building Cyclones and Banshees, and then the Queen Transfuse thing with the Nidus does not work if there's like 4 Cyclones and anything else. At that point, it's almost always guaranteed to kill that the Nidus as long as the Cyclones immediately start firing.
He's still making Queens, but I feel like... I mean, I guess it could still be a big Nidus attack, but it feels like the longer this goes without it, the more unlikely it is that he's doing that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it could also have been like he just wanted to play it really safe with the roaches, which I do find interesting because he's got a very good defensive setup, right? He's got the queens, the overseer,
He's just
and
not
the
even
roaches.
getting roach speed though. He's doing nothing.
Yeah,
with
the lack of roach speed is confusing. That's a good point to
Is
make.
it a mistake? I guess.
Maybe. I don't think he wants to build roaches. I think he just wants roaches for this moment right now, and then that's it. Like he's like, I'm gonna hold this attack, and I don't want to build any more roaches. He's defended it. The queens have pushed back the banshees, and the cyclones maybe get caught by the lings. If he could do some fancy banshee macro, try to save one of the cyclones, but he's just gonna let it sit there, maybe die. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's not bad. So he gets rid of the lings. He's building the third base on location. 16 drones being made, and a spire out of Trues. I think he's realized that he's going up against probably some macaroni over here.
My friend. Well, yeah. I mean, based off the composition, I guess he can.
Yeah,
kind of
considering what he did last game too, if he like looked at the build order or you checked the replay even for like half a second, he'd be like, yes, clearly this guy was going to follow up with mech. That +1 vehicle weapons is very telling. There's plenty of people that do this build and go into bio, but I do think
he's got 2 hatcheries making. So is that a macro hatch?
he's taking this base and he's got one over here. Well, we know True likes to mass his lings up, right? I mean, it's in True's dream reality, this American Terran who's not supposed to, you know, beat him, plays bio, and then he moves out and his whole army gets surrounded and wrecked. But I think True's like, okay, you know what? This is mech, 100%, starts roach speed. So this is the more old school Zerg approach to dealing with mech, is you go for like the roach punch, then you switch into mutas, or vice versa. And your goal is basically like, hey, make tanks, kill them with the mutas. Hey, make Thors, kill them with the roaches. But
really powering up here though. 6 more drones coming out too.
yes, he's getting the economy up, which is interesting to consider because he put out so many lings and roaches earlier that it's not like he was crazy ahead of Future, who does not really need to build SCVs anymore. Playing mech, like 62 SCVs, you're totally fine. Like 66 is like your magic number. He could get a little bit more since his units will take forever to build, but I like that he's going straight into Thors because he already has a few cyclones. He can make Hellbats, and Thors are not bad against roaches in low numbers early on. Because he's probably expecting that he wouldn't want to build a ton of roaches because he's True.
5 mutas, nothing on that spire for the upgrade as well, by the way. So it's kind of almost like a distraction mutas, right?
Yeah. And I think seeing the lair, he probably expects that there's some sort of shenaniganery going on. But I like the clearing of the creep. These banshees gotta be careful. Good cloak. And the mutas, not a lot of them. Heading around, there are no missile turrets on the map. We do not have an engineering bay either, so we cannot build missile turrets.
Oh, interesting.
So despite the fact that there are Thors, they're not really going to be in position to deal with this as they're moving towards the front line. So this is going to get a little bit annoying. It's not a lot of Mutalisks. It's not like it shouldn't be able to like snipe tech labs or reactors with this by the time the Cyclones come up, because their anti-air will actually be like okay-ish for pushing this back, simply by virtue of him being able to lock on against a low number.
Yep. The interesting thing here, though, is that is it, right? After that, there will be a few missile turrets.
Now he's got the turrets coming up in all the other bases. Oh, the E-Bay, he was building it as part of the wall at the third base. And that's really nice, because that wall is so important versus the roaches. And I think if you want to play with the earlier Thors, which is really nice, like you can do a lot there in terms of holding them back with the range. You get 1 or 2 siege tanks. And it looks like he wants to play a tank-based one, but Future takes this 4th base really fast, which I like a lot. The Banshees are here to try and deny this 4th base from True, or excuse me, the 5th base. So you're limiting the Zerg economy a bit, but playing a little bit greedy here because True hasn't really committed anything serious to attacking the mech player.
Yeah.
And I think that's really dangerous because there's plenty of Zergs out there that are like, well, one of the scariest things about mech is that if you're playing an inferior player, if they still max out, that army is actually still so hard to kill.
Upgrades not super synergized here for True. Oh, I called it out. There it is, 2-2 on the way. And as Nate pointed out, it's mostly tanks coming out, so just the Thors are acting as kind of a bedrock, if you will, to make sure that they're covered against anti-air. And True going for a little bit of everything. With that hive, you can have Vipers. There's the Greater Spire. He is upgrading Hydra upgrades, so we should be seeing that complement this as well. But he kind of maxed out, has just been hovering here, which is really interesting, sitting on these roaches. And by interesting, it's of course cash to speak for bad.
Yeah.
You want to trade this out, and the longer the game goes, the more established the Terran gets on that greedy base.
Yep, and these roaches are going to come in, attack this base. There's not a whole...
Holy cow.
Future, because of the way that he took these bases and the army that he has,
my God.
he could easily make a transition into anti-air, but the fact that he's still building tanks here, like this is just tunnel visioning mech play from Future, where he's like, all right, I'm just gonna build my normal army. There are Cyclones coming out now, but Cyclones are not ideal versus Broodlords. Broodlords have 10 range. Thors are much more impactful when you can get them in large numbers. Of course, they take forever to build. But this game's gonna get weird, because the Greater Spire is about to finish. It looks like Future wants to attack. This would be his moment.
Maxed.
Or he's just gonna harass, I guess.
Max with no Corruptors out there, if I saw correctly. It's gonna be Viper, Hydra, and some Roaches with a weird number of Mutas. So I hear you, but actually I think the army Future has, as long as he doesn't really chuck it away, but also needs to kind of get on his horse, right? Like, he's good against this composition, but if all of a sudden 6 Broodlords show up, not so much anymore.
Yeah. It's interesting to see this. I like the Hellions running around. I'd like to see him get transformation servos with this. That upgrade's really nice for keeping the Hellions on the map, but also being able to turn them into Hellbats to kill Broodlings, or at least meat shield for your tanks and Thors.
Yeah.
I still like this, though, because I think playing this way forces True to do something that he just doesn't do as much, because most people will still play Bio, and True doesn't get to play like his normal Swarm style. He's like, okay, I have to kind of play this a little bit more technical, ZVT setup, where I'm worried about, you know, my army composition being perfectly balanced. You can't just jump on top of them. In this army, were he able to make a good push across the map, could do it, but the big kicker is going to become that end game tech switch.
But
and
just imagine, had he not done end game, thrown the Roaches away, come out with 10 Corruptors, and then just shown up with 10 Broodlords. It feels like Future is just completely in the dark on that.
Yep, good of Ducks,
Thors. Gets both.
And you can't just siege all of the tanks. The way that, that command center and the rocks, his tanks went all around the other side without his army. That's painful.
They did make it, though.
Yep, if he doesn't spread out, that's 3 Blinding Clouds. 3 Blinding Clouds will cover this whole entire tank line. I'd like to see some lock-ons if he could get them with the Cyclones, but he doesn't have a huge upgrade advantage.
Oh my gosh.
So the Cyclone's damage is a little bit here and there. He's also not mining his extra gas over here. Considering that he's playing mech, that is a huge deal. I'd like to see him put the Thors in single target mode, because it causes them to instantly shoot the Vipers when they're in range. But he needs to be a little bit more. Yeah, he needs to be a little bit more committed to whatever choices he's making over here.
Oh, he's flanking here, though.
He's running all around the side.
He's going to get this army.
Yep, okay, so he comes out. It's a pretty good spread, since the tanks are able to cover. He can't really retreat very easily from this. The Vikings are able to get good shots off on the Vipers as well. And let's not forget, those Cyclones do have the rapid-fire missile launchers, so if they're able to lock on, they will be killing the Vipers very quickly.
Good target fire by True, actually. He's going to save the life of 3 of those Vipers.
And that's really big. And this is where...
And he can't make Corruptors right now. He needs to make army.
Yeah, he's just 32 Hydras, 12 Roaches, so he is going to instantly remax. And now the game is all on those Vipers, because if those Vipers do not land, like gnarly Blinding Clouds, this tank line, slowly advancing, would destroy everything that True is building. And we see he's throwing out even more Spine Crawlers. You can see the concern is starting to come out. And if he could just pick off 1 or 2 more of these Vipers, would be so crucial in this game.
But that's also the bank of True. Well, no, excuse me. I was looking at Future's bank. He's actually got a ton of... I'll just stop. He's actually got money to reload. But here we go. Left flank. Tanks are decently spread.
Is he going to try to base trade him? He's going to be like, you know what? I'm just going to run back.
He's waffling a little bit.
That's a brave play to make, but it can work. It's like, well, just go knock down 2 of your bases or whatever. But yeah, the thing is that Future is not. He's killed this base, but he's not moving either. He's being very patient. But the rest of his army back home, it's like, well, 3 Thors are nice, the Cyclones are nice, but this is like 20 some odd Hydras. Or was it 30 that he made earlier? So he's gonna push forward. Getting these upgrades would be really nice. Those help the Cyclones stay relevant in the game.
Denied.
Almost gets the Vipers there.
Wow, and True's just. I mean, True pokes over there, but doesn't even get anything. He sees that there is army. He's going to come all the way back. The tanks are a little bit more congealed.
Yeah, just keep spreading the tanks is the most important thing that you can do in this situation. He scans very intelligently, gets 1 of the Vipers. That's so big. 2 of the Vipers knocked down.
That might be it. I mean, even if he fights this, or he has to eventually, it's going to be a trade, right?
I think Future's got it. You know, the option for Broodlords was really good, but now there's actually a good amount of Thors on the map, and with the +3 attack, they 4-shot Broods. They're very strong against them. Here comes that 1 Viper. Will Blinding Cloud 3 of the tanks, but the rest of the army is able to shoot at all of these Hydras. More Thors are coming in, and those bad boys rip the Hydralisks apart too. Future getting some insane damage done on this Zerg army. Should be able to mop up most of it. Those Thors are deceivingly strong against the Hydras.
Up in workers, up in army supply. The base count for True is still pretty decent. He did lose a base off the back of that, but he has 12 o'clock and the fourth base there.
I think one thing that hurts was this base was kind of knocked off kilter a little bit. He's finally mining. He's got this one fully saturated again. Take the 5th base. If you're future, get that 5th as quickly as you can. Lock it down. And really the big mistake that some mech players make in a situation like this is that they're like, okay, well, I can fight you with like 60 supply of mech. And you really should still just wait. Get your remax up. Your army's still very strong. And he's actually done a really good job of dealing with the Viper presence on the map. Like, I'm actually very impressed. Good flank, though, from True. He's going to nab himself a couple of siege tanks, maybe the Cyclones here, too.
He's backed up by Ravage this time. It looks like he's actually kind of given up on Vipers, which I think is... I understand it. He's doing like the short game play here, and here is that base trade you were talking about, but he is going to walk into a tank line. Is he going to keep going forward? It's just Hydras and Ravage. They're just taking so much damage. Like, even if they somehow kill these units, the cost to them makes them almost non-lethal, and it's going to be his healthy base at 12 o'clock that he'll lose in the name of that nation.
Yep, and he's got these units moving out towards that right side. Another tank's going to come out. He's got the tank in the main base that can help with this mineral line. Some of his orbital commands are definitely under pressure, but really you just don't want the Zerg to be able to get on top of your production. Some of these factories out here, like these tanks, are going to pop out and just die instantly. He's managed to get into this base too.
The other base too. True's just getting sacked over here economically.
Yeah, True is making a game out of this one. This base on the right side has finished up. He's killed 3 command centers over here. I guess the one saving grace is if he can get this into a planetary and secure that base, that's still a lot of money for him. He's going to lose on... he's actually losing all of his command centers. He's tunnel visioned very hard on this attack, and I think...
that might have done it. Yeah. The counterattack just did too much damage over here.
Wow.
And I have to say, part of it
was a little too much on that push.
But also Future's army's not really moving super quick up there, so now there's another army for him to face, and it would be too strong.
These guys are never getting out of here. Wow. I really thought that Future had this one. I think should have just made sure he secured this base.
And that's not a planetary either.
It's not a planetary. Should have secured this base and max out his army before trying to make that attack, because this army does not have enough steam to push, and what he had at home wasn't enough to defend.
Well, a couple of mistakes here, and now True is up almost 100 supply. He still has that army up there to deal with, but he's retaken the right side base.
Yeah, I mean, what's the Viper count at? 3? I mean, I guess he could try to just like abduct these units in, but he doesn't really need to. He could also just set up
I just wouldn't fight it.
Yeah, there's that too. It's like, I'm just gonna attack you again, and this is an orbital over here, so that's not doing anything. Because he's like, oh, I'm broke, I need mules. Well, that's not gonna help. He reinforces this, but I don't really know that there's anything else he can really do here. He's got 3 tanks on the ramp, so if True tries to suicide going up here, but he's like, you know what? I've just killed all of your command centers, which I'm also totally fine with. First, the file's gonna land, blows up one of the Thors, hurts the Cyclones. And my guess now is maybe he just tries to bring everything back here and just attack. He's got to collapse on this army at some point, because Future's also, like, this base, the only base that True is mining from, doesn't really have a lot.
It's out of 9 workers. His economy is in shambles as well.
Yeah.
Remember, Terran can still drop mules. I guess he lost so many orbitals that that's not that big of a deal.
Like, this army's meant to be good, but not all of the tanks are sieged here. He's coming in from both sides. There's the Vipers. GG. True ties the series up. And I'll just say it, I really liked everything in that game from Future, but after that big fight, just actually really disappointing follow-up from him. He tries to push out with, like we were talking about, that like 65, 70 supply of mech army. It's like, no, what makes mech really good is when you have that big mass. And he controlled so well with that first attack. And True just found this opportunity. He's like, well, we both traded a lot. Yeah. I can rebuild what I need faster than you can. And I can't beat what you have. So I'm just going to go kill everything back home. Like, he had 3 factories at the 3rd base. Like, he killed those. Several tanks popped out that instantly died. He didn't lift any of his orbitals to move them to safety.
Didn't move the SCVs.
Didn't move the SCVs.
He lost like 40 SCVs.
Yeah, he let there's like 4 Hydras in that one base. He just lost everything because he was focusing on trying. Like, I guess he thought he could end the game with that push. And that's a trap that you fall into when you kind of get some momentum against a good player. And that could also just be the nerves too, where he's like, I've got this. It's like, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens back home, like, if I just make this attack work, this should win the game. And that's how a player like True beats you, because he's got that experience and that calm, at least, in that situation.
Yeah, well played by True. To your point there as well, if he just kind of panics and takes a couple of bad fights, he doesn't have the army to counterattack there. I also always think counterattacking is one of the best things to do against mech, because fighting into it, even with blinding clouds, is oftentimes a bad trade. And if the Terran's doing a good job of kind of locking down back at home while you're taking a bad trade on their mech army, you can just kind of lose the game that way. But True just decided he was always going to counterattack, and of course, when he had to fight the army, he did. And that commitment basically kind of won him the game.
Yeah, really good, I think, reaction to the way. I mean, Future had insane momentum, I felt. Everything I really liked. The first attack got held, but he was still moving quickly economically. I don't think he needs to change things up too much in this next game. Just maybe, you know, be a little bit more calm, be more patient. That's the goal as a mech player. But oh well. We are loaded in to game number 3, the final map of our first series here, WCS America. Our Blues are in the bottom right, tied up, one apiece now. He is True. He faces off against the red Terran player in the northwest, bringing out his mech in this matchup. He is Future.
Well, this map, we've seen a lot of Zerg go for the quick max and then just huge roach attack. And I think you got to keep your eye on that because Future has been doing the fairly fast third off the back of, like, I don't want to call it bare bones mech, but not aggressive mech, right? He doesn't have like 5 factories taking his third. It's like 1 or 2 factories and a couple of Banshees.
Yeah, he relies on that early attack to buy him that space.
Yep.
He was building that third on location while he did that Hellbat Banshee push on the last map. An Acid Plant, I guess if you are comfortable opening without a Reaper, then maps like this kind of fall into being like a nice little space because you're like, well, I wasn't going to build a Reaper anyway. It doesn't really matter that there's no Reaper cliff to really scout on. He can kind of just do whatever he was going to do. And then it works a little bit in your favor is that Overlord scouting your main base gets a little trickier since you have the early Marine. The only place that the Overlord can hide for free is it's like right there. Just it won't see anything other than your wall. But he is going to go Reaper. Okay. Whatever.
All over the place, man.
You know what? Whatever. I'm just...
Are you done, Nate?
I liked the Marine opening, and then the one map where the Marine opening makes sense, he doesn't do it. So I guess maybe he's worried that True's just going to go pool first.
Kids these days, am I right, Nate?
But if he's got... Yeah, I'm upset. Am I out of touch, Jeff?
You're the old guy in this case, though.
This is it. I don't know what it is anymore.
Mark is it. That's all. Does get spotted, though. Right off the bat, and it's going across the map. So had True done a weird thing and gone for early lings, they'd be really happy, but
yep,
he did not.
They would have just ran right around that middle. But I guess what he's thinking is because the drone has to go further to reach the third base, that it'll be easier for the Reaper to deny him building that third when he wants to get it, which I think would be the one saving grace here.
This is a deep dive here.
Yep, he's going in.
Oh,
gets a drone.
I love it, but he's dead. No, he's not.
Is he?
It's a Reaper.
Up. Oh, come on, Deion Sanders.
Oh my God, it's so annoying.
Third command center on the way for this. He's like, oh yeah, that's a good opening for me.
Wow.
No third base.
I asked for that grenade yesterday, though, because we've had a couple guys like, oh, I'll go make an extractor. But if you chuck the grenade at just the right moment.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. Future's got that micro down. Future's a fancy man himself. I think he streams a lot as well. He's one of those guys you can check out. Goodbye, Observer person.
Sayonara. Some people can't cut it in America, man.
No. He just gave up. He saw that. He saw that Reaper micro. He's like, you know what? I don't even want to look at this game anymore. It disgusts me.
Gazed upon perfection.
The way that Reaper escaped those drones just brought back all of his Zerg glider games.
And I do like Future changing things up. There is that Roach Worm. I really am feeling the Max Roach, by the way. I know it's like a ways out. It's just the map. It's just something that Zergs have been doing, but also True.
It's very open. The way that the third is laid out on this map makes it... I personally, as a mech player, don't like playing on this map largely because when the Zerg gets any sort of momentum, or really when you're trying to take your third, if they do, just as you put it, a big roach shove or something, like they've got this area that's open that they can hit, they have this one, and if you commit enough to defend here, nothing can defend like this angle over here. So you just get into put in this weird spot where really aggressive players have a lot of room to work with against you. But
ooh, baby.
This is the game where Future changes everything up. And this might be one of the smarter plays just because True is preemptively going roaches because he's been hit with these Hellbat attacks, he's been hit with these Banshee attacks, and he's seen mech these first 2 games is only best of 3, but
and he even sees the Marine like kind of blocking the area over there too.
Yeah, so he's expecting this now, and I would say that this is brilliant in control because now he's got True not doing what True normally does, but he's playing Bio. And if you're playing Bio, I think that you're pretty happy going against these sort of Roach plays early on, especially since the Marauder got buffed. You're like, oh, you're going to play a lot of Roaches? Well, Marauders are amazing now. Or at least they're good again.
You don't want to call them amazing? That's too much?
Marauders have always been amazing, though, against those units. At least in their first 2 iterations. The OG iteration.
Both players going with their double upgrade buildings at the same spot.
Yeah. He doesn't really have a lot of Marines, so this could still be annoying. This isn't like the I'm going to kill you amount of Roaches, but it's like, okay, I can probably get one of your Hellions. It would really be painful if he was able to grab, like...
Not for you, Marine! Man, that door flying up just in his face was heartbreaking.
Yep. So like, all right, repair the engineering bay. I've got a tank on the way.
Like the scene from The Rock.
Yeah.
The guys on the other side of the door.
I just rewatched that the other day. So good.
The only good Nicolas Cage movies ever been made.
I don't know, man. Have you seen National Treasure?
National Treasure's terrible. Con in 60 Seconds is the other good one.
Con Air!
Oh my God.
Come on!
You know, DeMuslim loves that movie.
It's a great movie. Double Medivacs. All right. Well, I guess it's Bio, right? My brain went to the Thor drop for some reason because he's been playing mech all series long.
Thor drop?
There's the... Well, that's a very standard thing to do when you play mech.
Yeah, but you were talking about him going Bio. And
I know.
That's Thor drop.
I immediately explained that my brain was still on mech because of the last few games.
You like had an out-of-body little Nate experience over there.
Yeah.
It still could be bad.
Hey man, it's fun. It's fun as a commentator. You know, I have my Terran thing on Flex, but most of it is fake because everyone plays Bio and I don't play Bio. But when someone actually plays mech, I'm like, wait, I am an expert on this. It's like this is the one thing I actually know. Yeah, expert? I'll take that.
An expert
on Terran mech? You better believe it.
What does it qualify? How do you get qualified to be an expert on that?
I think it's I don't know. I think if you beat Avalon
the
and
ladder
TVT,
achievement. You played 60 games of mech. You're an expert.
Yeah, that's when you.
Oh man, stick around. Medevac! Ah! He actually wasn't focusing the whole time too.
Yeah, that was tough.
Come on, True.
Did you know that if you build double armory in 100 ladder games of StarCraft 2, that it actually gives you an auto turret portrait?
No,
it's pretty
I did not
sick.
know that.
It's pretty sick.
You know what though? They give Terran stuff for anything these days.
That's true.
That Medevac's got to go home. Get your repair on, man. Before you stay out here. So, second factory, by the way.
Yep. Man, well, this is pretty in line with how Terran players are doing it these days. Double factory. We saw Hero Marine actually do this in his games.
Yeah.
Yesterday, double factory, build a bunch of tanks, bunch of Marines. You don't really get the Marauders because you expect that Ling Hydra Bane, which isn't coming quite as fast as it otherwise normally would because of the Roach opening. Because True trying to play something a little bit safe. But True's in his element again, and we're going to see a lot of Zerglings. He's got 65 on the map, 15 more on the way. He's totally content to delay any tech just to have so many Zerglings. He's like, well, Terran, you just actually cannot produce as much as me. The only way you're going to beat me is with some gnarly head-to-head fight because I'm fast and I have enough Lings. Like, you're never going to catch me with not enough forces. He's just got giant clumps of Zerglings everywhere on the map.
Yeah. And still 71 workers, too. That's the kind of deceiving part of True. He's a very aggro Zerg, but he doesn't abandon economy either.
Yep, good grab here, getting the Queen and being able to clean up the creep on the right side. Future's doing a good job of being active out on the map. I'll give him that much. He is definitely making it difficult for the Hydralisk part of the game. Because as True, what you want to do, or I guess as any Zerg, you get your Bane speed, you get that creep spread closer to that base, and that'll really allows those Hydralisks to get the maximum amount of movement speed, and that's really the slowest part of your army composition here. But he's being forced to kind of defend around here, but now this Medevac so close.
Banshee gave up her life for that.
Yep.
Okay, 2 of these Medevacs, man. Just go repair them, please.
Yeah. Take care of your Medevacs. But Future's built up a pretty good army. I mean, 7 siege tanks is really nice. The weakness of the way that True's been playing this is that he has not built a lot of Banelings. So if those 7 or 8, 9 tanks he's getting towards are able to kill those very low Baneling counts, then these Marines are going to slaughter everything.
This army's moved out this far without being spotted too, by the way, so it can show up with the rocks. And if he just drops the rocks pretty... they already are dropped.
Yeah. I think as a Zerg player, that's like a huge focus you need to get. So the drop in the main base is nice because it pulls the army over there.
Oh,
while all these tanks are able to siege up here. Gets rid of that
really
drop. The hive begins. I don't know if Future saw that on his way out, but he's going to kill this hatchery, and we see this epic flank coming in. I don't know if it's meant to be a run by.
Is that just all lanes?
He tries to do a flank. He tries to do a counterattack. Yeah, it's all lanes.
Whoa! He does get those tanks, I guess.
Yeah, but this is like the weird way that True plays, and because Future left all of this at home, it's like True's like, well, mostly what I do is backstab people when they try to attack me, but now I can't. So he loses his base, and this game is going very well. Once again, for Future, I think you maybe want to repair those medevacs.
What if he just joins up the whole thing?
Yep.
I guess he kind of doesn't. He almost doesn't have to. It's kind of funny. Man, True's just fighting up this ramp into one angle.
Yep. The key to beating this style, like most Terran players rely on using a lot of those tanks, and because there's no creep, you said it in control, is that he was able to get in position in siege without being seen.
Yeah.
So he had so much time to prepare that. And now this fourth base is going to go try to land for Future, and if he spots these lings, he has enough to deal with them over here. He's got the Marines. He's left a lot of Marines and tanks at home. He has not been parade pushing, which is what that backstab style is good against. He's kind of doing the old, I don't say innovation used to do this, but he would like put that depot in front of his base here and rally everything to that. He's like, I'm not going to parade push you. If you try to counterattack me, I'm going to have an army there. And this is really nice. I think the biggest concern right now is that his medevacs are very low on hit points, and he's overstimmed some of his forces. But otherwise, the movement speed is going to be the issue. He needs to actually get out there and do something with what he's got. Because True is saying, you know what? I don't care if you're playing Bio or Mech. I can still do the same thing I did last game and just wail on you with everything. And this is where you get that panic moment, because if you try to just counterattack straight into him, he's got a bunch of Banelings on the way. And he's gonna deny the 3-3. He's gonna get up, probably kill the natural. And Future is like, he's just gotta go for it. And this is exactly what True wants.
Whoa!
All he needs to do.
Oh my gosh!
Well,
does that maybe do it? Just that alone?
I think it does, because everything he builds now is just gonna.
Unless he can hold the high ground up there.
His
right?
third base is gone.
His
His natural's gone. He has the planetary.
He's got the one base, which is gonna be more than True can say for the most part, right?
That is true.
True's natural. Wow.
True's actually low on minerals. He actually doesn't have any more minerals. I guess that's worth mentioning because it's not that mech style.
And he does have an army at that planetary. I think.
Yeah, he's got several tanks.
Despite being way down in supply.
Oh, and he's getting all the overlords, so True can no longer build units. He's lost a lot of those. He doesn't have enough money to actually rebuild his overlords either.
Oh, the third upgrades go down as well. Both these players blooding each other so hard.
No one's getting 3-3. This is it. This is the key moment. The Hydras and Lings are back, and Future's whole army is very focused on this. He's going to hit him from both directions at once. Gets all of the tanks. The Bio's going to pick up. Wow, most of them actually loaded into the low medevac that just died. He's going to try to run off now. And the Hydras should not be able to catch this very easily.
There's those overloads you're talking about. And he's actually... That'll get him out of supply block, but just barely.
Yeah, he spends his whole bank rebuilding his overlords. But this is awkward. Future lost so many depots as well. He's like, well, I'm just going to build the great fuel of supply depots outside this planetary fortress.
And Future 2 pretty broke, by the way. He's got a lot of gas.
Yeah.
But that army right there... And
doesn't
then
do as
stuff
much.
In the main.
Yeah.
And he gets all the medevacs out, too. Or most of them.
That's probably the most important part of this, getting the medevacs out, because all these units that have been out here stranded have been very low. Does he still have the armory? Did he build that in his main? Yes, he did. So he could try to get his +3. I think at this point he's probably more worried about the unit composition. But I think Vipers are going to be very hard to deal with because there are so many Hydras now.
Oh, you're right. There's Vipers coming out here, too.
The Zerg has a slightly more efficient way to spend that gas bank after you're low on minerals. In the future, the most he could do with that is try to get Ravens, I guess. And I actually wouldn't even mind that. Hey, he's going to swap off here. I actually think that a couple of cheeky Dorito cannons would be very, very nice.
I almost wonder if waiting that long, though, would be a mistake. I feel like he's got to go now. I mean, 60 drones to 33. True is taking another base. It's
the Liberators. The Liberators, I think, are actually the key here. It's helping to cover those siege tanks. Because what he really just has to get this position. This is the dream spot to be able to take. This tank is going to get abducted 100% of the time. The Vipers, what he does with them are going to be very, very important. But let's see that siege line moves up. And he's just going to attack into this. All the Marines are behind the tanks. There's the Blinding Clouds, but the Liberators are here to help support this. There's the Abducts. And I don't know that this bio is going to be enough to break this. There's still a lot here from True.
He has to avoid the Banelings.
He needs to let those Marines heal up. And like the most he could do now is try to put the Liberators that he does have onto that exact spot. and just hold there. But I'm still so nervous because his medevac's really low. He's looking for a base here. He won't find one. He's got that drop on the left side. That's going to fly over creep and be revealed.
He's backing away. Lost all the tanks, lost most of the Liberators. I think that was a really good fight for True. He's now in a very strong position as far as I'm concerned.
All the units he was worried about are gone, right? At this point, you win this game just by building Banelings. You know that he can't afford to get double factory production rolling again. He's just churning out one tank at a time very slowly. The Raven is nice to have, but he needs to land a critical anti-armor missile right into the middle of everything for it to be good. We have some lings that are going to make their way to the reinforcements. They're going to pick these guys off in the center. I think he did get his adrenal glands too, so as far as the end game upgrades go, no 3-3, but that one is so big. And now he's got Lynx just kind of working away as reactors.
And even just the little weird Ling exchange there trimmed down this force enough.
There's the abducts, closing the liberators. Well, they're supposed to unsiege when they get abduct. That's weird. But that medevac over there, he's like, okay, the one Baneling's not going to get the money shot, but Future's just slowly bleeding out now. Where are all of the medevacs gone? He lost all of his medevacs?
Yeah.
No, they were just over. They were
all
over
of them,
here.
man.
He brought them all into the main base. I'm like, well, why is his army sitting here at no health?
I think Future has been stymied. He's just kind of fallen back, like, what do I do? The drop gets deflected. Lings are strong enough now, too, that if they just show up to where a drop is, it doesn't matter. They can run it over, like in small numbers.
That adrenal glands upgrade is so nice. And look at this. As soon as he moves out, if he steps outside of his base, there's a lot of Zerglings that would love to get a jump on that. Maybe not the planetary. I do think this many Lings. I do think this many Lings can kill the planetary. Even without the +3 attack, just because of the adrenal glands. Yeah, Banes can do it too.
But even the natural, they can threaten to run up the main. They can kill.
I don't know how you break this. I don't see.
You don't, Nate.
I don't see him making it happen here.
It doesn't happen.
You siege is pretty far back, but he still hasn't, like, his whole army is still. He's making full stims. There's the Raven. Guys stop being able to shoot. The Lings get the natural again. And is he gonna close the door? Okay. That was weird. I mean, he could have just ended the game right there, but okay. He'll just flank this army, probably.
End it this way, I suppose.
360-degree surround.
Yeah.
Or not. Okay. Get a couple of these Marines. He's cutting off the reinforcements. I think True's taking his sweet time here.
He is taking his time.
I guess
he is an A move away from winning this game here.
Yep. And a few Bs. You just Blinding Cloud will get all 3 of those tanks, or you can duct everything. You've got options.
He doesn't have to, though. Is the other side of this, right? He's like still.
He's got money.
Destroying.
Yeah, he's making money. Now he's maxed out again, finally. After all of this, he's finally maxed. His 3-3 is coming in. Future did start the 3-3 at the planetary.
I think he's going to kill that orbital.
Not lifting command centers. So definitely hurt Future a lot in this match. And now he's just going to come up and kill him. GG. True. Takes 2-1.
Well, it was a very close contested match, and I would say that Future was actually in a pretty commanding spot in both games.
I think the last 2 games he could have won pretty. Like, it's awareness, really, of that enemy army. It's like, if you're playing mech and you have a big army, it's like everything's going great. It's like, what could I really lose to? Well, A, Broodlords, or B, a base trade. And sensor towers are really good for that reason on some of these maps that are a bit bigger. I love sensor towers on Lost and Found. You can cover pretty much all of the attack paths that they can hit if you put one by that 4th base and one by where you want your 5th. And in that last game, just the counters were just there. And his army ends up being stuck on the edge of a creep. And he's like, I'm trying to mic everything back home, but I also have everything here. And oh, well.
Take us home, Nathaniel. Take us home.
Tough loss for Future. We do have more games of StarCraft coming up, though. That's the first match here of WCS America. As our next series will be a Protoss versus a very odd Zerg. It's going to be Puck versus Cicada. Catch out what everyone's chirping about in our next series. Some good old Protoss versus Zerg. We'll see you after the break.